So this is the fourth class of SFM Dawn series, and the topic going on is foreign exchange. The third class was short, just half an hour, and up till now we have completed a number of topics like non-deliverable forward contract, like post-shipment credit, currency of investment, currency of borrowing. Okay, these are the topics we have completed, and early delivery. Last class, in fact, they were one sum on early delivery, one sum on currency investment, which I think I had left out, so I did it again with you all. And now we are moving into the next topic, which is automatic cancellation. Okay, automatic cancellation. So let's enter into automatic cancellation. Just 1 second. Now you know that for the last 2-3 years, automatic cancellation has been frequently tested in the exam. And this is also important because the provisions for automatic cancellation have recently changed and ICAI has adopted the same. So what happens in automatic cancellation is that the customer does not show up on the date. So customer enter into a forward contract, say to purchase a currency on a certain date. When that date comes, the customer does not turn up. But the bank must have entered into a forward contract with some other bank to deliver to the customer. Now what does the bank do? So the bank has to enter into a swap on that day. Okay, say the customer contracted to purchase. So the bank contracted to purchase from some other bank. Now the customer did not turn up, but this bank has to purchase from some other bank. So after purchasing, what will this bank do? It will sell spot and buy forward. So I said in an importer type sum, you remember there will be a sell buy swap. Whereas in case of early delivery, in importer type sum, there's a buy sell swap. Whatever it is, even by common sense, you can remember. So bank will enter into a swap. If there is a loss in the swap, bank will charge from the customer. And if there is a gain in the swap, bank will not transfer the gain to the customer. Okay, because the customer has to be penalized. Now the number of days for which the bank will wait for the customer is 3 days now. It was earlier 15 days. That means if the customer does not turn up on the due date, he has to turn up the next day, or the next day, 3 days. If he does not turn up within 3 days, then on the third day, contract will be automatically cancelled. And cancelled, if the customer bought initially, the customer will what? Sell. There will be a cancellation profit or loss that we have to calculate. And of course, if the customer turns up within 3 days, then on the date the customer turns up, that day there will be automatic cancellation. Okay, so in early delivery, the old contract is honored, but in automatic cancellation, the old contract is definitely cancelled. So number one, you have to calculate the swap loss. Number two, you have to calculate the cancellation amount. Okay, number three, you have to calculate the net inflow or outflow for the bank. Net inflow or outflow for the bank. Okay, what is the net inflow or outflow for the bank? On that, if there's a net outflow for the bank will charge interest from the customer. Okay, and finally, what did the customer say on that day? Did he wanted to actually cancel, or did he wanted to extend the contract? Okay, or did he want to execute the contract? Okay, so the old contract will be cancelled. The new contract will be entered either for that day or for 1 month later as the customer says. So that's the case of automatic cancellation. Recently, a beautiful sum came on automatic cancellation. Let's have a look at the same. Okay, just 1 second. So here we have a sum on automatic cancellation, question number 9. I think that's the new one. I've taken 2 sums over here. Yes, automatic cancellation. This sum I think came in the December 21 paper or whatever. Let's see. Z Limited has to remit $1 lakh for her daughter's education on 4th April 2021. Accordingly, she has booked a forward contract with his bank on 4th January. So on 4th January, a contract was booked for 4th April. Okay. Z has to buy $1 lakh for daughter's education at 73.8775. That's the retail market rate. The bank had covered its position in the interbank market at 73.7575. As is my habit, I will take the name of the bank. So suppose it was SBI. So Z has entered into a forward contract with SBI at 73.8775. Z will purchase. So SBI has a short position. SBI purchases 3-month forward from ICICI Bank in the wholesale market at 73.7575. Perfect. The exchange rates for US dollar in the interbank market on 4th, 7th and 14th. So we're really surprised. 4th April, that's okay. But why 7th April? Why 14th April? Let's see. So 4th April, 7th April, 14th April, the rates are given. Exchange margin 0.1% whenever we want to find out a retail rate, and interest outlay of fund at 12% are applicable. So remember, in early delivery they give us two interest rate, because if there's a net inflow, there's a lower interest rate at which the bank will pay interest to the customer. If there's a net outflow, the customer will pay interest to the bank at a higher rate. But in the case of automatic cancellation, there is only one interest, which is to be paid by the customer to the bank on the net outflow. Remitter, due to rescheduling of the semester, has requested on 14th April for extension of contract with due date on 14th June. So the remitter was supposed to come on 4th April. He did not come within 3 days, 7th April. He came on 14th April. So on 7th April, the contract will be compulsorily cancelled, automatically cancelled. This is the new provision. Okay. So people were surprised when they got this question. Calculate cancellation rate. Calculate cancellation rate. So when did I say cancellation took place? Cancellation took place on the 7th April after 3 days waiting. So initially Z had contracted to buy. So now Z will what? Sell. So Z will sell spot on 7th April at 73.1575 minus 0.1% commission. 73.1575 minus 0.1%. And ICAI normally rounds it off to 4 decimal place. 73.1575 minus 0.1%. Rounded off to 4 decimal place. So what are we getting? Please check. So I think it's coming to 73.0843. And if you round it off, it's coming to 73.0850. Let me check the institute's answer. So 73.1575 minus 0.1% is 73.0843. Rounded off to 73.0850. Perfect. You round it off to 4 decimal places to the nearest multiple of 0.0025. So 73.0850 is the answer. Okay. So second question, amount payable on 1 lakh. So Z had contracted to buy at 73.8775 and Z is selling at 73.0850. Okay. So he bought at a higher rate, he's selling at a lower rate. So he's suffering a loss. Loss is the cancellation loss, 73. What was the rate? 73.8775 minus 73.0850. I repeat, 73.8775 minus 73.0850, the whole multiplied by 1 lakh. The whole multiplied by 1 lakh. What does it come to? So on the calc it's coming to 79,250. 79,250. 79,250. 79250. Okay, that's the amount. So I made a student sit by my side on the right hand side to do the calculations for me. Okay, because we are not doing live class. So obviously you must be doing calculation at a faster pace at your level. So who is the student? Who is the student? I think it doesn't matter to you. Okay, 79,250. Next, third question, swap loss. So bank on the 4th April was totally confused because SBI had to buy from ICICI, but what does it do? Because the customer did not come. So SBI will enter into a sell buy swap. The sell buy swap is always entered for the smallest maturity. So sell spot at 73.2775, buy 73.4275. Can you see that? 73.2775, 73.4275. That means there's a swap loss. What is the swap loss? 73.4275 minus 73.2775, the whole into 1 lakh. 73.4275 minus 73.2775, the whole into 1 lakh. Yes, it's 15,000. 15,000. Let me check. Yes, 15,000. That's the swap loss. Now here people ask me two questions. Number one, so why didn't you apply the exchange margin of 0.1% over here? Because this is a wholesale transaction between bank and bank, say between SBI and HDFC Bank. So there is no question of 0.1%. Secondly, sir, why did you enter the swap for 73.2775, 73.4275? Why didn't you go to April or May? We enter for the shortest period. Okay, it has been explained in class. Next, fourth question. Interest on the outlay of funds. Interest on the outlay of funds. So we have to find out the net outflow for SBI on the 4th April. Let's see. On the 4th April, SBI purchased from ICICI Bank at the old contractual rate of 73.7575. That's an outflow. And SBI sold spot as a part of the swap to HDFC Bank at 73.2775. So 73.7575 minus 73.2775, the whole into 1 lakh. That's the net outflow for SBI. Okay, that's the net outflow for SBI. The net outflow is coming to 48,000. The net outflow is 48,000. We have to calculate interest on that at 12% for 3 days. Okay, interest on that at 12% for 3 days. So we have to calculate the interest on that at 12% for 3 days. Okay, remember they calculated for 3 days. So 12% of 48,000 into 3 by 365. Have they done that? 12% of 48,000 into 3 by 365 is 47 rupees. So the interest charge shall be for 3 days. Had he come in 2 days, it would have been for 2 days. So either for 3 days or when he comes, whichever is earlier, interest charged. So we have the cancellation loss, which was 79,250. We have the swap loss, which was 15,000. We have the interest, which is 47. These are the three charges plus 100 rupee FDI charges if they mention. Let's check. New contract rate. Okay, so when did the customer finally come? The customer came on the 14th April and he wanted extension for 14th June. So 14th June, the buying rate is 74.0525. 74.0525 plus 0.1%. 74.0525 on the 14th April, the rate for June. 74.0525 plus 0.1% and then rounded off. It's coming to 74.1266. 74.1266. So 74.1266 and it's rounded off to the nearest 0.0025 to 74.1275. New contract rate. And then last question, what is the total cost? So total cost is this new rate we found out into 1 lakh the customer has to purchase, plus the swap loss, plus the cancellation loss, plus the interest cost, plus have they talked about 100 rupee FDI charges? No, otherwise you would have taken 100. So let's see, total loss, cancellation charges, swap loss, interest. Okay, oh, they have not calculated the amount that we have to pay. I think that should also have been taken. What was the question? The question was calculate the total cost. So you have to remember that in the total cost, they are not taking the purchase price. They are taking the swap loss plus the cancellation loss and plus the interest on the outlay. Plus if 100 rupee would have been given, they are not taking the purchase cost. But as far as you remember and I remember, in early delivery, they also take that purchase cost. Okay, but in the automatic cancellation sum, they are not taking the ultimately purchase cost. Okay, so we have to remember this. Yes, you have to remember this. So there's another question, question number 8, but it's an old question done in class. You can easily refer to that question. In that question, we don't have the 3 days affair because the 3 days affair came recently. This is a very, 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 very important sum. Okay, after every sum, I'm taking a 2 minutes rest, which you will not understand because the video will be through. Okay, but you can also take a 2 minutes rest. Just as you pause, I am also pausing, but you will not find the pause in the video. Thank you. So I think we will now get into the next discussion, which is on external commercial borrowing, ECB. Now this question which I have taken on external commercial borrowing has actually been discussed in class. But since it has come only once and it's a unique question, therefore I decided to include it, even though it has been done in class. So you know that when we are talking about external commercial borrowing, we are talking about taking a foreign currency loan from abroad. Okay, external commercial borrowing. So we are going for a foreign currency loan, usually at a floating rate. So when I say floating rate, obviously Libor or something shall be the benchmark. And usually there is a syndicate of banks which provide this loan. So they charge a number of charges like underwriting fees, guarantee fees, and so on. In fact, even the drawdown can be in multiple installments. So if the loan amount is $200 million, you may draw 50, 50, 50. And even the repayment can be in that manner. But then the details of the question depends on the question. The sum that came in the exam was a very conceptual sum wherein we had taken an ECB and let's look into the sum actually for details. Please understand, those who have done the classes with me, this question was already done in class. I am just redoing it because it is a unique sum. So here is the question. K Limited operates from 4 different buildings and wants to consolidate its operations into one building which is expected to cost rupees 90 crores. The board of K Limited had approved the above plan and to fund the above cost agreed to avail an ECB of GBP 10 million from G Bank Limited on the following conditions. So we are taking a 10 million pound loan. Okay, 10 million pound loan. Why? Because we write 90, we want to get 90 crores. So it's a 1 crore pound loan. I think the exchange rate is 90. So 1 crore into 90 is equal to 90 crores. So we are taking a 1 crore pound loan. Loan availed on 1st April 2019 with interest payable on half yearly rest. Average loan maturity will be 3.4 years. This is surprising. What do they mean? They mean to say the duration, the Macaulay's duration 3.4 years and overall tenure 5 years. Are you understanding Macaulay's duration? That means we have to repay the loan in 6 months now, the interest and all. So the weighted average, the average due date of that is 3.4 years. Now what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to serve as PVAF, the annuity factor. I mean to say, if you were to pay something today on this loan, some fees, and you want to find out the per annum, you can divide by 3.4 to get the per annum. Understood? So if you are paying something today and you divide by 3.4, you get the per annum. Or if you are paying something every year and you want to get the entire thing for 5 years, you can do into 3.4. So 3.4 can be better thought of as an annuity factor in this question. So that's something that's making the sum in fact terribly difficult. Upfront fee 1.2%. So upfront fee is paid only once. If you want to know the annualized, like if I pay upfront, so what is the per annum fees? You will have to divide the upfront fee by 3.4. Let's divide 1.2 divided by 3.4. That's coming to 0.3529%. So 0.3529% is the per annum fees. Okay, so that's the technique. So we haven't done it in class. Yeah, we haven't done it. So that's what we are supposed to remember for future sums. Interest cost is 6-month Libor plus margin of 2.5%. And 6-month Libor is expected to be 1.05. This is ridiculous. They are giving a floating rate loan but converting it into a fixed rate because 1.05 plus 2.5 is 3.55%, and you know it's all per annum. Even the 6-month Libor is Libor per annum. So you don't have to think about, sir, this is 6 months, this is 2.5, should we do divide by 2 and all that thing. Okay, 1.05 plus 2.5 is 3.55%. So 3.55% is the interest rate per annum, and our fees was 1.2 divided by 3.4, which was 0.3529. We've got two costs up till now. One is the interest cost, which is Libor plus 2.5, 3.55%, and the other is the upfront fee. So why are you converting the upfront fee into per annum? Because interest is per annum. Upfront fee also got to be per annum, correct? Let's read further. K Limited also entered into a GBP INR hedge at 1 GBP equal to 90 to cover the exposure on account of the above ECB loan, and the cost of the hedge is coming to 4% per annum. Okay, you understanding? So basically we have entered into a FX swap type structure, a hedge wherein we will buy GBP every year at a rate which is 4% higher than the current rate. So 4% higher rate. You are covering it at 4% higher rate because you have a payable, you have borrowed GBP. So you have covered it at 4% higher rate. That 4% is your hedging cost per annum. As a finance manager, given the above information and taking 1 GBP equal to 90 rupees, calculate the overall cost both in percentage terms and rupee terms on an annual basis. So we have to find out the overall cost. There are 3 costs. Number 1, the interest cost, which is LIBOR plus 2.5, 3.55%. The second is the upfront fee. The upfront fee has to be made per annum. So I divided it by 3.4 and we get 0.3529%. And the third is the hedging cost, and the hedging cost is 4% per annum. Let's add all the 3. So the cost comes to the interest cost plus the upfront fee per annum plus the hedging cost. So interest cost is LIBOR plus 0.25, 1.05 plus 2.5, which is 3.55%. Upfront fee is 1.2 divided by the average maturity, the discounting annuity factor, which is 0.3529, and the hedging cost is 4%. So the total cost comes to 7.9029% answer. This is the overall cost of the loan. Can it be done in other ways? Yes, but why should we bother? This is the best way. We can do it in amount terms, calculate the amount, and then you try to convert the amount back into percentage. That will complicate the matter. This is a particular type of sum, should be attacked that way only. Can it come in the exam? Yes, it can come in the exam. What is the cost of hedging in rupee terms? Hedging in rupee terms, cost of hedging. So cost of hedging was 4%. That's 4% of 90 crores. But 4% of 90 crores is for 1 year. So into 3.4. 4% of 90 crores into 3.4. Yeah. 4% of 90 crores into 3.4. That's coming to 12.24 crores. Okay, the overall hedging cost. So 4% of 90 crores is the per annum hedging cost. So I would have done into annuity factor to get the 5 years cost. The annuity factor is 3.4 years. Okay, so that comes to 12.24 crores overall hedging cost. And the hedging cost per annum is 4% of 90 crores. I don't know what they have asked. Maybe we should give both the answers. Third, if K Limited wants to pursue an aggressive approach, what would be the net gain or loss for K Limited if INR depreciates or appreciates against pound by 10% at the end of 5 years, assuming the loan is repaid in GBP at the end of 5 years? Are you understanding? They are trying to say that suppose you don't hedge, you are aggressive, you don't hedge. Then find out the gain or loss. Now, how can we find out the gain or loss? That means on a comparative basis. You are hedging, so you are suffering 4%. When you are hedging, you are suffering 4% of 90 crores. What is 4% of 90 crores? So 4% of 90 crores is 3.6 crore you are suffering, okay, per annum, if you are hedging. Now, if you don't hedge, in that case, what would be the net gain or loss? Case 1, if INR depreciates. Now, if INR depreciates, that means dollar appreciates, so we lose 10%. 90 is what? 9 crore. 9. 10% of 90 crore is what? 9 crore. So 9 crore is the amount we actually lose because we have to buy the pound at a higher rate. But we save how much? We save 3.6. So 9 minus 3.6 is what we save, net gain on account of not hedging. 9 minus 3.6. But if INR appreciates, that is pound depreciates, in that case, we gain as a result of not hedging. Why? Because pound depreciates, so we save 9 crores, plus we don't have to pay the hedging cost of 3.6. So the total gain is 12.6. Are you understanding? It's common sense. If I hedge, I am paying 3.6 crore. If I don't hedge, case 1, I am suffering 10% of 90, that is 9 crores. So 9 crore is the suffering, 3.6 is the saving. 9 minus 3.6, that's the net cost, net loss. But in the second case, when INR appreciates, that is dollar depreciates, I am doubly gaining because number 1, I am benefiting by 10% of 90 because dollar depreciates, 9 crore, and I am also not paying the hedging cost. So 9 plus 3.6, 12.6 crore. So very easy question if done once. Ignore time value of money means you have to consider 3.4. You don't have PV, AF and all that stuff. Okay. So check this solution, but the solution has been done in multiple ways. You please do it the way I have said. This is also the way in which solution is given. It's just that we have to do it that way. Okay. Okay, perfect. So this was one more sum. This was ECB, external commercial borrowing. Okay, external commercial borrowing. Okay. Okay, so the next sum that we are going into, perhaps I should not do it because it is not a new thing. It has come so many times in the past, but I don't know why some people keep on requesting for it. It is Nostro account. So I am sure 80% of the audience who are listening to these classes will feel that, sir, why are you doing this sum? But let's have a discussion on it. So there were two sums. One was done in class and the other one is a new one. Not that there is something new in it. It is the same thing. Let's see. Question number 13. Question number 13 on Nostro account. So you are aware that Nostro account is the account maintained by an Indian dealer, say SBI, abroad with some foreign bank. Okay, Indian dealer SBI. So I will picturize that State Bank of India. We have to think from the point of view of State Bank of India. It is maintaining a foreign currency account with Citibank. Okay. Now, whatever is happening in the account, debit, credit, that entry has to be done. But SBI is also entering into forward transactions because of which it is having just long short position without any debit credit. So two particular statements are prepared. One is an account statement, that is debit credit whenever there is an outflow of foreign exchange debit, inflow of foreign exchange credit, and the other is we have to maintain a position statement. Position statement is long short. Whenever SBI buys, it's long. Whenever SBI sells, it's short. Nobody should ask the doubt, sir, from whose point of view are we doing? We are doing it from the point of view of SBI. Okay, let's see. You as a dealer in foreign exchange have the following position in GBP on 31st October 2019. Balance in Nostro account, credit 2 lakh. So in the account we have 2 lakh credit. Opening position overbought 1 lakh. So in the position statement we have 1 lakh long. So there are two different statements running. One is the account statement, the other is the position statement. Perfect. Purchased a bill on London. So a bill is purchased, that means it's a forward purchase. So when a bill is purchased, forward purchase, account will not be affected. In the Nostro account, GBP doesn't come in, doesn't go out. But since it's a purchase, therefore it's a long position. So 1,60,000 long. So we were having 1 lakh long, now we have 1,60,000 long, 2,60,000 long. Please remember, I'm doing it verbally as if it's a multiple choice going on. 2,60,000 long. Sold forward TT. So sold forward. SBI sold forward. TT means retail market. So it's sold forward, not spot. Once again, account is not affected, but it's sold forward. So short position. 1,20,000 short. So we were having 2,60,000 long minus 1,20,000 short. 2,60,000 minus 1,20,000 is what? 1,40,000 long. 1,40,000 long. Okay, remember verbally. Forward purchase cancelled. So had it been forward purchase, it was a long, it is cancelled, so it's a short. So 60,000 short. So 1,40,000 minus 60 is 80,000 long. 80,000 long. Next, remitted by TT 1,50,000. Now this is a spot sale. Remitted by TT is a spot sale. Since it's a sale, therefore 1,50,000 short. So we had 80,000 long minus 1,50,000 short. That is 70,000 short. But then since this is just spot sale, 1,50,000 goes from the Nostro account. So in the Nostro account we were having 2 lakh. Now we debit 1,50,000. So we are getting 50,000 credit balance. Draft on London cancelled. Now when the draft is made, that time SBI sells forward. When the draft is cancelled, SBI buys forward. Buys. So long position. 60,000 long. We were having 70,000 short. Now 60,000 long. So there is a 10,000 short. 10,000 short. That ends my discussion. We have a 10,000 short position in the position statement and we have an account balance of 50,000 credit. Let's see what do they want. Decide the steps you would take if you are required to maintain a credit balance of 65,000. So we don't want a credit balance of 50,000. We want a credit balance of 65,000. That means 15,000 has to be spot purchased. SBI should purchase 15,000 spot. Okay, that will make the account balance 65,000 perfect, but our position was 10,000 short. If we purchase 15,000 spot long, that means our position becomes 5,000 long. keep an oversold position of 20,000, oversold, they want a 20,000 short position, but we have a 5,000 long position, so we have to go for a 25,000 forward sale, 25,000 forward sale. Okay, so that is the answer. You may smoothly go through the solution. It has been done in class. There is no question of your feelings, sir. Why are you not writing and doing it? The solution is there. The solution is there. You can have a look at it at your leisure. It is done in the same manner, okay, on nose through account. So there are two sums of nose through account taken by me over here. One sum was exactly done in class, question number 4, and the other sum, question number 13, is the one that I have done right now. Let's pick up the next topic, that's ADR, GDR. Now we know that ADR is American Depository Receipt and GDR is Global Depository Receipt. And it is best to imagine this way, that Indian companies are issuing their shares abroad. Okay, that means Indian companies issuing its shares on the New York Stock Exchange, on the NASDAQ, when we talk about ADR, or they are issuing shares on the London Stock Exchange, that is GDR. Those holders of ADR, GDR are also shareholders. They enjoy all the rights. Usually ADR, GDR issue is made at a discount. That means if the current share price is say 500 share price in India, and suppose it's issued at a 10% discount, so it's issued at 450, and usually one ADR or GDR will have 2 or 3 shares. So if there are 2 shares, then the price should be what, 900? Okay, but usually there would be investment bankers and all that, so there would be some flotation cost. Flotation cost is suppose 2%, so the net realization would be 900 into 98%. Okay, 900 into 98% is coming to 882 per share, per ADR. But obviously this has to be in dollar terms. So suppose the exchange rate is 75, so 882 by 75. So the net realization comes to 11.76 per ADR. Correct? I think the figures are okay with you. Price is 500, but we are issuing at 10% discount. So 450 into 2, 900. But there's a 2% flotation cost. So we are realizing only 98%, which is 882. And then in dollar terms, 882 by 75, 11.76. Anyways, they tell us the amount to be raised. They tell us the amount to be raised, say 500 million or 800 million. And they tell us this amount net of flotation cost. Net of flotation cost. Okay. So obviously what we can do is that to find out the number of ADRs, we can divide this 800 with 11.76, because 800 is the net amount required and 11.76 is the net realization. So if we divide, we get 68.0272 million ADRs. But how has ICI done it, which is also correct? ICI grosses this amount. They say that the gross amount required is 800 by 0.98, and that's coming to what? 800 by 0.98 is 816.3265 million. That's the gross amount required. And what is the gross realization per ADR? So don't do this adjustment of 98% over here. Okay, let's not do the adjustment. It's 900 divided by 75. Gross realization per ADR is 900 divided by 75, which is what? 12. Okay, 12. It is not net of flotation cost, it is gross. So you want to raise 816.3265, and with one ADR, you're going to get what? 12. So if we divide by 12, once again, we'll get the same number of ADRs, which is 68.0272. Now, if somebody will say that, sir, even though institute is doing gross wise, can I do net wise? The answer is 100% yes. But will that checker understand? No, he will not understand. He has never heard the word ADR, GDR in his life. So he will not understand. So if you do it in this manner, that, sir, I calculated the net proceeds and then I did it, I think when he gives stepwise marking, none of the steps will match, because he will find 816.3265 has not been arrived by you. Okay, that is not there. He will find that 12 is not arrived by you. So in all the steps, he will cancel and you'll get a 0. This is what is called yatharth, reality. Okay, so do not unnecessarily try to divert from the ICAI solution just because you know that it's logically another solution exists and same answer is there. No, you got to do it this way. Okay, in the gross manner. Okay, so let's look at the solution. And also one thing just to conclude, like cost of equity, even from IPCC, CA Inter, we used to do D1 divided by P net plus G. Everybody will remember this formula. Okay, somebody calls P net as NP, net proceeds. So cost of GDR or cost of ADR will also be calculated via this formula, D1 by P net plus G. Now it is important that if you take D1 in terms of rupee, then P net has to be in rupee. Okay, I prefer that. If you take D1 as per share, not per ADR, in that case PNet has to be per share amount. But if you take D1 as per ADR, in that case the PNet will be into 2 because 1 ADR equal to 2 shares. So how can somebody do a mistake? It's very logical over here, and growth rate will be given to you. Okay, let's look at a recent question that came in the exam. I've taken two sums on ADR, GDR over here. Question number 5 and question number 18. 5 is exactly there in our book. We have done it in class. 18 is the new sum. Nothing new about it, but just because it is new. Let's see. Question number 18. Mrs. Raghu Limited is interested in expanding its operations and planning to install manufacturing plant at US. It requires 8.82 million USD net of issue expenses to fund the project. Remember, we will gross it. GDRs are proposed to be issued to finance the project. The estimated flotation cost is 2%. So 8.82 divided by 0.98. 8.82 divided by 0.98. Okay. 8.82 divide by 0.98. The gross amount required is 9. Okay, right? Gross amount required to be raised is $9.9 million. Now let's find out the gross amount to be raised via 1 GDR. Expected market price of the share at the time of issue of the GDR is 360. The share price in India. Each GDR will have 2 shares, so 2 into 360, 720. There's a 10% discount, so into 90%. So 2 into 360 into 90%. 2 into 360 into 90%. Exchange rate 72. Divide by 72. Okay, 1 second. So 2 shares into 360 into 90% because 10% discount, divide by 72. What is the gross proceeds per GDR? Yes, please. It is coming to 9. Perfect. So $9 million divided by 9. We have to issue 1 million GDRs. We have to issue 1 million GDRs. They have asked a question number 1. You as a financial consultant are required to compute the number of GDRs to be issued and the cost of the GDR. So I'm repeating. In class, I must have done it by the net proceeds. But don't do it in the exam. Do it by the gross method. Otherwise, none of the steps will match. So why did you do it wrong? I did not do it wrong. Okay. Based on the step marking, I am seeing what the ICI is doing. Next. Dividend is expected to be paid at the rate of 20% with a growth rate of 12%. Whenever they say dividend is expected to be paid at the rate of 20% means it's the dividend rate, not the payout ratio, not the dividend yield. So this dividend rate is applied on the face value. Look at the bracket. The face value is 100. So 20% of 100 is what? 20. So is it D0 or D1? It's written dividend is expected to be paid. So it's what? D1. This D1, 20 rupees is per share. You want to make it per GDR, then you can multiply that by 2 and you can say 40. That's fine. But what's the sense? Instead, let it be 20. So 20% of 100 is 20. So we have KE D1 by P net plus G. So D net is 20. I've taken per share. So per share price net is 360 into 90% into 98%. So why have you taken net over here? Because in the formula there is net. And plus 0.12 separately. Let me just show the steps. So this is 20 divided by, what is 360 into 90% into 98%? 360 into 90% into 98%. 317.52. So 317.52 plus 0.12. Okay, so we get 20 divided by 300, 17.52. Whatever you get plus 0.12. 18.3%. It's 0.183. So 18.3% is the cost of GDR. So ICAI has taken into 2 over here. They have taken 40. No issues. You take into 2 over here and into 2 over here. You can see the maths 2 cancels, but still you can do it. There's no issue. You take into 2. The answer is same. 18.3%. Apply common sense, please. Okay. 18.3%. So question number 2. What is your suggestion if the company receives an offer from a US bank willing to, question number 1 was, you as a financial consultant are required to compute the number of GDRs and the cost of GDR. So 2 questions were there. Number of GDRs 1 million, cost of GDR 18.3. What is your suggestion if the company receives an offer from a US bank willing to provide an equivalent loan at the rate of 12%? Now this is stupidity at its heights. How can we compare equity funding with debt funding? If we do that, always debt funding would be cheaper. In fact, they have not given the tax rate. The cost of debt funding should be 12 into 1 minus T. That would always be less than the equity funding. But it seems that they haven't studied capital structure chapter at CA into themselves. That if you go for debt funding, in that case, your levered beta will increase and the cost of equity will rise now. Anyways, I don't have any concern. They are doing stupidity. Let me just prolong the stupidity. Since the cost of equity is 18.3, while the cost of debt is 12%, that's to pre-tax 12%. So debt is cheaper. The firm should take the US bank loan. Question 3. How much company can save by choosing the option as recommended by you? 18 minus 12.3, 6.3%. This is stupidity. Because number 1, we should make 12% post-tax. Because 18.3 cost of equity is already post-tax. This is heights of irrationality going on. Okay, when somebody praises the CA courses, this is what happens over there. Let's see. We want to check the solution. Just 1 second. You can see 18.3%. We should go for the US loan. 6.3% net saving. Okay, this is GDR.